As entrepreneurs, we all have a reason why we chose to leave our 9 to 5 for an 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. I'm here to capture those stories of why we all hustle and grind for our companies. Brad Draper is a former VP of operations and quality in the laboratory space with a degree in chemistry. He is an avid athlete, having been in fitness for 21 years, and he's passionate about life. Brad is always laughing and bringing a smile to those he's around. He is relentless, driven, and has sustained intestinal fortitude. Brad is a visceral force for good. He strives to simply add value wherever he goes and with whom he interacts. If there is an opportunity to aggrandize someone, he will execute and take immediate, massive action. Purely stated, Brad loves.
Cast a chat. All the conversations we've ever had to date have been fantastic. So I appreciate your time and having me on here.
Absolutely. And I know it's going to be a great episode, man, because I know, again, the conversation that we've gotten into, there's certain people in your life where you're just like, the conversation is going to be good, like exceptionally good. And you're one of those people because you're really educated. You look into things, you're really insightful. And I really appreciate that. So yeah, we're going to get into some really cool stuff today. It's going to be great.
Us analytical people, all the analytical guys out there and gals, we hold strong.
Overthinkers unite,
We think.
So what I'd love you to do, man, is I want people to know a little bit about what you do. Each one of us as entrepreneurs, like the name of the show is Hustle and Grind, because we hustle and grind for a specific thing that we're good at, that we love doing. It's our passion. It's something that's different than what other folks will do. It's kind of different. I want to know what your zone of genius is and what that one thing that gets you really revved up and makes you hustle and grind, man.
Yeah, exactly. I love that question. And we'll take you back a few years, actually. So the anniversary was on Monday.
Oh, cool.
April 8th, Monday, April 8th. And it was a Monday, by the way. 2019 is when I was driving home from the gym because I'm a gym rat. And I had an impression about making a piece of gym equipment. At the time, I was a vice president of operations for a laboratory. I am very much so a nerd. And I'd been running that laboratory for a good while. I'd been there since 2010. So I've been there about 9 years. And at that moment, I realized my goals and the path I were on were not in alignment. They were not congruent. And at that point, I realized I must leave my career. Now, I was being prepared to be the president and then owner of the company. So that's the trajectory I was on, but I knew it wasn't going to get me to where I wanted to be. Very comfortable, yes. Very tiring, absolutely. So I started down the path. I turned my notice in February 2020, just about a year later. I'd started getting everything going and made all my prototypes and everything. And COVID hit. My clientele wasn't ready. My product wasn't ready. And the laboratory I was at was booming, yet their sister facility director passed away. And so everything was going chaotically, and it's my father's company. So I felt an obligation to take care of his company. Fast forward 30 months, 30 months, I finally walked away from the lab. A lot of it, I say, looking back, I was saying I wasn't leaving because my product wasn't ready or I was still there for the lab. At the end of the day, I was scared. I was just scared because all I'd ever known my entire adult life. And I was married. I had a kid. I had a couple kids. I had one born in 2019 and another one born in 2021. And so I had a baby when I first decided. I had another baby after. So I had two dependents, my wife, my family. We had just moved into a house that we knew we couldn't afford on the salary we're on, but it was just kind of awe-inspired to go there. And then I launched off onto my own with a bunch of financial levers and invest in that, invest in this, and invest in that, invest in this. Every single one of them failed.
Oh.
All of them crashed and burned, like just sequentially, just do. And I think most entrepreneurs can relate to that situation. It's like, okay, crap just hit the fan. It just got real. I have a mortgage, I have a family, and I have no source of income. What am I going to do? The first thing I did was I wanted to have driveway approach plates because the driveway on my driveway, the approach to my driveway is kind of a steep curb. Okay. And so I ordered a whole bunch of steel and I arbitraged it. I bought it in wholesale and I started installing. So manual, these things weigh 300 pounds a piece. I started selling them to neighbors and installing them in the neighborhood. Made enough for that month for rent or for mortgage, and just kind of was scrappy, trying to
Mhm.
make ends meet month by month, trying to figure out what it is I needed to do. And then I came on with a former friend to help him with his company, and he brought me to another company. And I realized very quickly I have a unique skill in operations. See,
Mhm.
in the laboratory, I stared at numbers all day long and would interpret these numbers to mean
Mhm.
something about their manufacturing, if it was clean, if it was homogeneous, if it was a good product, all based off of just sequential numbers falling on a screen. And I learned at that moment, I've got a knack for this. Like,
Mhm.
I'm really good at looking numbers, spreadsheets, and interpreting a story from that, and then writing procedures around the things that actually matter, the things that move the needle. And so I started kind of messing with that, but working in my buddy's company and helping him in that marketing and analytics. I was writing procedures, doing marketing, and interpreting the analytics for the whole company. And I was their director of marketing analytics in this RV industry. I started my company in August of last year, 2023, still with my other buddy. And I was sit up against a wall. Like, man, do I help my buddy's company? He's my brother. He's one of my best friends,
Mhm.
and his company is hurting bad. And I'm a key to help it.
Mhm.
Do I stick around for him, or do I take this company that I just started and run with it? And he made the decision for me. The industry was crashing so bad he couldn't afford me, and he laid me off. And he said, "I'm so sorry. I have to I can't afford you." And I said, "Dude, that's perfect. Ideal." He's like, "What do you mean that's perfect? I just fired you." I said, "Oh no, I started a company a month ago. I was debating about if I do my company or your company, and I was really at odds. So I chose your company because I wanted to take care of my brother, and then you let me go. So clearly I made the wrong choice.
Mhm.
The world conspires in your favor."
Yeah.
And I went down this path of starting that company, the 3P system, and helping people with operations and
Mhm.
helping my friends win by making their companies more efficient, more effective. And that's kind of what brought me all the way up to here. And I started another company 2 weeks ago in the world of financial technologies. So I do the operations thing, and
Mhm.
now I'm doing the analytics thing in the fintech space. And it's so fun. And you'd ask what makes me tick, and what really makes me tick is progression. That's what I love. That's what lights me up. I like seeing progression. I like helping my friends progress. I like helping companies that are in distress progress. And I want them to move forward by any means necessary. And that friend with the RV company, I still help him. I still
Mhm.
help him to this day just for free because he doesn't have the money to pay me.
Yeah.
But it's just the passion of helping people succeed, take care of their families, and take something out of nothing, and then
Mhm.
playing a role in that. I realized I'm a really good entrepreneur.
Mhm.
Okay, entrepreneur, really good entrepreneur. So I
Uh,
created a company to which I'm an entrepreneur for a
uh,
lot of people
uh,
because I'm just way too ADD to just
yeah.
sit back and do one thing. So that's like the 50,000 foot of Brad Draper and what got me here. And it's been a wild ride, to say the least.
Yeah.
And how we met is, I
Yeah.
mean, being in operations and being a fractional COO is what I do.
Mhm.
My business relies on me networking.
Yeah.
It relies on me talking to people and being out in public spaces where business owners are. And that's where we met,
Yeah.
is being in those spaces.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it truly is that your network is your net worth, and that networking is something that we hear so much about. We hear all of these, you constantly hear networking, but it is such a powerful tool. It is such a powerful, like, going out and doing cool stuff with your friends, and that's really the ultimate in being an entrepreneur. It's just really, let's see what we can go build. Let's see what we can do. Let's see, like, yeah, yeah. So, like they're saying, with you coming in and helping companies and helping struggling companies to really move forward, let's see what kind of cool stuff we can build. I'm doing cool
Mm-hmm.
stuff with my friends. Right?
Exactly. We
Yeah.
like to play.
Yeah.
We
Absolutely.
like to play, build cool stuff with friends.
Cool.
That's what we do.
Exactly. So I want you to talk a little bit more. You use the term intropreneur, and I love words. It's part of what I do, so it's kind of my thing. But I want you to explain a little bit more to people that may be new to that term. What specifically do you mean by an intropreneur?
Yeah. So you've got an entrepreneur, which is everybody's heard of it. You go out, you start businesses, you run things. You are the creator. You're the visionary that sees things forward, and you're the driver. An entrepreneur is person number two. They
Mm,
are within an entity, within a company. They are the entrepreneur within. So they're not the builder and the creator of the structure. They're the refiner of the structure. You
mm,
typically see this in high level CEOs, high level presidents, high level C suites. They didn't start the company, but they're the ones that polished the company, made it profitable, made it better. And I think it's really hard because in this world today, entrepreneur is really sexy. It
mm.
sounds cool to put on your title in LinkedIn or Instagram, whatever, entrepreneur. And I mean, within the last 10 years, you hear look, he's like, I want to be an entrepreneur. What does that mean? I don't know. They make a lot of money. Well, they can, but 98% of them lose a lot of money.
Yes.
But an entrepreneur is within an organization that beautifies said organization. They
Mm.
get you can get make you. I know plenty of entrepreneurs that are seven-figure salary earners, and then they take that and they do real estate and investment opportunities and all kinds of stuff without ever building a company like an entrepreneur would.
Yeah. That's fascinating. I think there's a lot of different ways to put it. I mean, there's integrator, implementer. There's a lot of ways. I love the way you put it the best though, because it really shows truly what that person is and what they do, and this the essence of where they're at. And I love the way you put that. So I wanted to make sure that we heard what that was, just because it's kind of cool. You know,
Yeah,
it's really
yeah, it's
fun.
not a super common term. I think about a really good friend of mine.
Uh-huh.
He is the CEO of, oh man, what do they do? They're a 10-figure cash flow revenue company per year.
Hmm.
And he's the CEO of that company. He didn't build it.
Hmm.
He came on as a sales rep and
Hmm.
he helped build it by way of where it is now, but he didn't build the original entity. His brother did. And
Uh-huh.
he was the number one sales rep for Johnson and Johnson in the world. So that tells you how good this dude is at sales. And
Yeah.
came in as a salesman and then went director of sales and then became the like VP of sales and then became the president of sales, became the president, and now he's the CEO.
Hmm.
That dude makes seven-figure salary
Hmm.
and he then reinvests into other things. He never has built a company.
Yeah. Yeah. Just makes it better. And I
Makes
like
it
that.
better.
I like that. So now you're talking about your dad's, company. So this has got to be a thing for you, like the entrepreneur side of things. And
Mhm.
I guess each one of us has our own little origin story. We've got the reason why we're doing it and something unique from our past that allows us to be able to be entrepreneurs. Because you said it's great to put that really sexy entrepreneur name on our, and our LinkedIn profiles, but the realities are often very different. We're
Right.
all wired kind of differently, and there's got to be something in our backgrounds that really makes us do it. What was, what made you want to get into that world of entrepreneurship?
Yeah. What was the catalyst, right?
Yeah.
So my dad was not always an entrepreneur.
Hmm.
My dad was a corporate executive
Yeah.
and executive for big Fortune 500 international companies. He was the VP of sales for a company that his primary sales territory was Russia and China,
Okay.
which means my dad was never home,
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
And when we lived in California, he was commuting to China often. And when we lived in New Jersey, he had his home base office in San Bernardino, California.
Hmm.
So we lived in Jersey. He worked in San Bernardino for several years. So he would
Hmm.
leave Monday morning, fly home Friday night.
Yeah.
And that's how it was for years. I saw my dad on the weekends.
Yeah.
And we moved to Utah, which is where I currently reside, when I was 13 years old. And he demoted himself to a regional sales rep and started buying houses, doing real estate. This is in 2002, 2003,
Hmm.
and went almost to bankruptcy. He got down to like the wire of how much money they had in their bank account left and finally figured out buying and flipping homes and renting homes and built it up to a portfolio of 50 homes. Nothing crazy, but very comfortable nonetheless.
Hmm.
And then he saw 2008 coming. He saw the crash. And he, like many people in the world, saw what there's a movie about it called The Big Short.
Yeah.
He saw The Big Short happening, but he was too infantile in trading to understand how to capitalize on it. But he knew those houses were going to go upside down. So in 2006 and into 2007, he sold all 50 homes with the
Mhm.
exception of a couple. It started actually in 2005, and he bought the laboratory because he's like, oh, this laboratory is going bankrupt because they're advertising the yellow pages. That worked great in the 90s. It does not work great in the 2000s. We have a thing called the internet now.
Yeah.
And he was the first laboratory in the world to get sales reps.
Huh.
And because that's what he knew sales reps. So
Mhm.
he installed sales reps. And I watched him build this life of being the multimillionaire that he became,
Yeah.
going from held to this job, beholden to his boss. His boss lived in Vail, Colorado. And I remember, like, oh, I got to go see such and such. And he would bounce for a meeting with his boss in Colorado because his boss said, come visit me in Colorado. I want to have a meeting. This is before
Uh-huh.
Zoom, before all this stuff is in the 90s. And the phone call meetings didn't really take place yet. They weren't very effective. So
Yeah.
everybody flew into Vail, Colorado. He was beholden to his boss. He was beholden with these golden handcuffs. He got paid very well, but
Mhm.
he had to answer to somebody at all points in time.
Mhm.
So as a little kid, I'm like, I want to go into business with my dad one day. That's what I wanted. I was like, what do you want to do? Be in business with my dad. What do you want to do? Don't know. Business with my dad.
Just there where my dad is.
This is where my dad is. And I really looked up to what he did and how he did it and watched him kind of slave through and then win and then start selling courses on how he's doing it and helping other become multimillionaires and just watching this progression. And those families are doing really well off. And now they have kids, their kids are grown up and watching this lineage take place of all because my dad decided to start flipping houses in 2002. And here we are 22 years later. And that kind of started the fire for me. I could see and watch people like just slaving away for $1 and they're
Yeah.
just giving their life away. And I finally said I was done because I was building within the laboratory space. That's what was my game plan. Build the lab and do the lab thing and become the owner of that. And I was doing meditations and just realized this is where I'm going and this is the path to which I'm on.
Mhm.
They're so far apart, they don't work.
Yeah.
So we need to change the path. Don't change the goal, change the path.
Mhm.
And the thing that was really hardest for me was I experienced my first son, my oldest, he's 4.5 now. I experienced every milestone for the first year of life via video.
Yeah.
I wasn't there for any of them. I wasn't there for the first crawl, the first walk, the first solid food, the first word. I wasn't there for anything. And my wife would send me the videos, and I was so excited to see the videos. I'm sitting there in the laboratory space watching these videos on my phone, just basically internally sobbing
Mhm.
because I wasn't there
Yeah.
at all for anything. I
Yeah.
was working 10, 12, 14, and upwards of 20 hours a day
Mhm.
in the lab. I was up at 4. I was home at midnight sometimes. There was 30-day stretches where I had to lay off entire departments.
Mhm.
And yeah, I was up at 4 and gone and getting home at midnight for a month solid.
Yeah.
And I decided that wasn't going to be the case for my other kids. I was going to be there. I was going to be there for their milestones. I mean, man, this studio I'm in is in my house and
Mhm.
I got 2 naked little boys running upstairs in potty training.
Yep.
And so I'm helping my wife with potty training and doing these things that I would have always dreamt of doing when I was in a 9 to 5 space.
Yeah.
Said, I'm never going to go back. And July will be my 2-year anniversary of being on a 9 to 5, beholden to something.
Congratulations.
And I would never change it for anything. And yeah, like your podcast title says, it's a hustle and grind. You move. But just like a bladesmith, one, the hottest fires make the hardest steel.
Mhm.
And when blacksmiths are making knives and blades and things, they're grinding. When you think about the action of grinding, it's gnarly. You're taking something harder than what you have and then ripping away pieces of what it is,
Yeah.
only to create something beautiful.
Yeah.
And it is
Absolutely.
difficult, it is arduous, it is hot,
Mhm.
but it is also beautiful. And if you talk to a blacksmith, they're like, oh man, my shoulder's so tired from just sitting there beating if they don't have a power hammer.
Mhm.
And they're sitting there grinding and polishing and forming and shaping this blade. If you ask them, they'll tell you it's meditation. You're like,
Mhm.
oh, I love it. I love the meditation side of it. You
Yeah.
can look at it 2 ways. You can say I'm slaving away on this blade or I'm meditating.
Yeah.
It's the same action, different interpretation of the action. And as
Exactly.
entrepreneurs like you and I, and so many of your listeners, I'm sure, it's peaceful.
Mhm.
There's peace in the chaos.
Yeah. Some people call it the zone. There's a lot of different words for it, but it is that moment when you have perfected what you're doing to such an extent that it does become a sort of meditation. It's like if I'm writing a presentation, same thing. It's like you just get into that zone. I had a client of mine once. It was funny. I was working in his office, and we were working on a presentation for him, and he just saw that sort of serial entrepreneur, 31 companies, and he just saw that look in my eye, going, and he's like, "Oh, you're in the zone." And he just shut up and kind of let me do my thing, and it was really funny to watch. Just we understand when we're in that zone. It's that zen where we're just you do,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
You just do.
yeah, absolutely, man. So I guess what we always you were talking about kind of iron sharpens iron and the process of doing this and that sort of thing is the thing that we know the entrepreneur of embrace the suck, right? It's a part of what we do. It's that not so sexy side of things. And what to somebody that is in that point, because it's going to happen. And of course, as entrepreneurs, nobody really understands what we do. They don't understand what that suck is. They will try their best to give you their opinions on what you should do. But what we really need as entrepreneurs is counsel. The difference between opinion and counsel is opinion is I think this. Counsel is I've been there. Here's what you need, or here's something I can do to help you move along. What have you seen work the best with like what is one thing to just when you're really in the middle of that suck? And it's almost getting you down and you have those moments where you're just ready to kind of throw up your hands. What is something you've seen that really helps to get through that? Like,
Yeah.
what do you do?
Yeah. I'm going to go by way of a story.
Sure.
There is a thing in Japanese culture called a misogi,
Okay.
Misogi, misogi. And a misogi, this is the Shinto warriors. They were basically samurai. And their final test before they could become a Shinto warrior was a misogi that literally translates to a water cleansing.
Mm.
What they do was they'd stand underneath an icy waterfall
Uh,
and their master, they couldn't leave until their master said they can walk away.
huh.
That could be hours, could be a full day of standing underneath the icy waterfall. It is designed by nature to suck.
Mhm.
It is supposed to be so hard, it will define the next 365 days. You do it every year.
Mm.
So this last December 30th into December 31st, Saturday into Sunday this last year, I did my second Misogi.
Huh.
I went and walked and I didn't stop.
Mm.
I went from sundown. It was seven. Oh man, what time was it? It was 5:07 p.m. I
Mhm.
started walking. I had mapped out a 4.1 mile loop around my house.
Mm.
And I did the loop and I'd come home, go to the bathroom, eat some food, do the loop, go home, eat some food, go to the bathroom, get some food, do the loop, go home, get some. I went 33 miles and I stopped at 5:52 a.m.
Mm.
And it was sorry, 7:52. It was 14, just under 15 hours
Mhm.
of nonstop walking.
Mm.
And I'll tell you what, when it's in the 20s outside, walking by yourself, one foot in front of the other, you start cramping, you start hurting. I don't care who you are, 33 miles sucks.
Mhm.
And that's really just it. As long as you keep stepping, you'll finally get there.
Mhm.
And we hear that all the time. And it seems so simple because it is. The most complex answers are the most simple one. I'm sure the best answers, the most simple ones. The complex ones are inefficient. You hear all these sexy do this, do that, but at the end of the day, just keep walking, just keep moving. It's impossible to fail if you don't quit.
Mhm.
You're going to get all kinds of learnings along the way. We don't believe in failure in our home. Failure is only feedback. So we just believe in learning. So if I tell you I had a learning, that means something didn't work.
Yeah.
And I learned another way on how to not get where I'm going. It's the 1,000 ways learning of how to not make a light bulb.
Mhm.
You just keep going. And as you keep going, you will learn the lessons along the way. Yeah, we will all in some form or fashion take it to the edge.
Mhm.
And the edge of sanity, the edge of financial prosperity, the
Mhm.
edge of bankruptcy, the edge of getting kicked out of your house, the edge of your relationships. It will push to the edge on everything, which is why most people are unwilling to do it. A lot of times because they don't have the support system. And that's category number two is who are you surrounded by? For so long, I sit back and I think, I hear a lot of my friends say, I did this and I got a lot of hate and I'm fueled by the hate. And all these people telling me I can't do it. I'm fueled by that. I'm going to prove them wrong. I've never had that, to be honest.
Yeah.
I've been blessed to be everybody in my circle and in my sphere. They just say, keep going, keep walking. You're going to get there. Keep going. I've never had hate from anybody. I had one bit of discouraging statement from my sister
Mhm.
for my invention that I did years ago, version 1, it didn't work. And my sister's like, I don't see the purpose. I think it's stupid. I'm like, you don't get it. It's so amazing. It doesn't even work. I'm like, it's version 1. Give me a break. I ended up
Mhm.
having 13 versions before I had the final product.
Right, right.
And amazingly enough, every year I am a God-fearing man personally, so I'll go from that sphere.
Uh,
Every single time I got pushed to the edge, I mean, I got 9 days away from bankruptcy.
mhm,
I was counting how much money I had left and the
mhm.
bills that were coming. I'm like, I have 9 days left, and 8 days
Yeah,
left, money came through
yeah,
from an investment I didn't even know was going to pay me.
yeah.
The next month, I was like 2 weeks shy of bankruptcy. Contract came for more than I expected.
Mhm,
The next month, I mean, it's just one after another, just helping you along the path. God,
mhm,
universe, energy, whatever you want to call it, as I
mhm.
said earlier on, is conspiring in your favor for you to win.
Yeah.
As long as you don't quit, you
Mhm.
just have to keep walking.
Yeah. And I think that was one of the things when we first met each other, that you had said that. And I say it a little differently. The universe is conspiring in your favor. And it was something that during those moments when it's just like, I'm ready to throw up my hands and I'm just ready to be done. Don't quit was the very first thing. Cause a mentor of mine, a really good friend of mine says that, do not quit. That is the only way you can fail. But it's the universe will conspire in your favor. And it's setting that up to be able to allow the universe to do that. Universe, God, spirit, whatever you want to call it, to be able to do that is, I think, one of the biggest skills you can learn as an entrepreneur is to be able to do that. And just sometimes it is like, I have no idea how the hell this is going to happen, but I just have that pure blind faith it's going to happen, period.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm going
Have
to
you
make
read?
it go right.
Yeah. Have you read the book Who Not How?
I have not. It is on my Amazon list. I think it's
That's
two from now. Yeah.
That's a solid read. Our mutual friend, Mr. Sean Finnegan, suggested to me. He didn't suggest, he said, that's your next book. I said, okay, sounds good, bro. Um, and it is very much so that to what you just said. I have no clue how I'm going to get there. And it's not my job to know how. It's
Mhm.
my job to know where I'm going
Yeah.
and who is going to help me get there.
Yep.
The who will have the answer on
Mhm.
how it will take place. I don't got to figure that out.
Yeah.
So I don't lose sleep over how I do things. I
Mhm.
don't lose sleep on how I'm going to get to where I'm going.
Mhm.
I just know I'm going to get there by who is in my circle.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think that takes your network is your net worth to a completely different level, because it's those people, like you said, the support system around you and the people around you are the ones who are going to help you do the really cool stuff that's going to help you build from that point forward. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's so important to have to build relationships. You will not do this in an island. You will fail badly, unless you have those relationships built already, man. Yeah.
Yeah, you will fail with magnificence.
Yes, you will. You will learn a lot of hard lessons.
And I've got family members that they want to do it on their own.
Yep.
I can do this. I don't need help. And
Mhm.
I'm sitting here being like, I receive help. And that was a weakness of mine. I
Mhm.
used to really struggle with receiving help and asking for help.
Mhm.
And my wife is a perfect exemplar of this. She's amazing at it. That is a superpower of hers,
Nice.
asking and receiving help. And it really happened when I was in the laboratory space and we had our first kid and she was sick. And
Oh
then
man.
postpartum happened and
Yeah.
she couldn't move. And so she had to call neighbors and
Mhm.
get really scrappy and go in neighborhood Facebook groups and find teenage girls that are willing to come help and clean the house and
Mhm.
just start helping is just asking for help. But it's really true. You will never get to where you're going alone. And
Mhm.
if you try and do it, it's possible. It's going to
Mhm.
cost you a lot of multiples more to get there and a lot of multiples of time to
Yeah.
get there.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's a hell of a lot more fun to do it with your friends. I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a whole lot more fun.
Have
Yeah.
fun and go do the things you want to do. And I was sitting there in December. We do vacations, we do experiences for Christmas instead of presents. We do very few presents, we do experiences. And this last Christmas was our first year doing it because we
Mhm.
felt our 4-year-old is very much so old enough to remember. Our 2-year-old, he might remember, most likely will remember some bits and pieces of it. And we went to Disneyland. And I was sitting on the balcony is second week in December, Newport Beach, overlooking the ocean, writing in my journal, talking to my wife. And I said, how cool is it that I'm sitting on the balcony overlooking the beach, writing in my journal on a Tuesday? It's
Mhm.
11 in the morning on a Tuesday.
Yep.
And this is our typical Tuesday.
Yeah.
And she said, this was a dream of ours that we didn't know was possible. We'd always be like, man, wouldn't it be nice? I hate that statement. Wouldn't it be nice?
Yeah.
Bugs the crap out of me. The answer is yes. Yes,
Let's
it
do it.
is. It's awesome. Go do it yourself. It's awesome. Somebody said that last night. Like, wouldn't it be nice to be rich?
You just want to slap them.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Go do it. I encourage you. It's awesome. And I didn't know what we were talking about, but
Disneyland, and
somebody just
you're churtling on a Tuesday.
turn on a Tuesday. And when I was in the laboratory space, I was always working.
Mhm.
Always working. If I was on vacation, I was off to the side on the phone taking calls from clients or putting out fires
Mhm.
nonstop. We'd be at an amusement park somewhere and they'd be on the rides and I'd be off on the bench and taking phone calls and doing conference calls and putting out fires. I was never present with my family, no matter how much I tried. Like, hey guys, I'm lights out. Don't call me. Don't message me. No, nothing. 10 minutes later, phone's going off from somebody else.
Mhm.
I didn't have control of my life. And that's what all of this hustle, all of this grind, all of this endurance, all of this energy has been put in for. This is why I tell people quite often, like, why do you do this? I said, I left a 6-figure comfortable income to be with my family. Like, hey, I need you to say, oh no, I got date night. No, you should probably come to this. I have date night. I don't think you hear me.
Yeah,
They
this is
say,
non-negotiable.
you really should. I'm like, dude, I left a 6-figure comfortable salary career for date night. I don't think you understand. This is non-negotiable. This trumps all things. I will spend this time with my family. I don't care who you are or how important you think you are.
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, you won't be around and my family will.
Yeah.
It's important.
Priorities, and I think it's important, and I think that's some of one of the reasons why a lot of entrepreneurs do it, is to be able to have that time and not slave away, and be able to be a lot more in control of what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's funny that you're doing the experiences. We're doing the same thing with my niece too. Here in about a week, we're going to take her. She's never been on an airplane before, and is constantly, every time I travel, she's like, "Can I go with you?" She's having her first trip to New York City, first time on a plane, and I'll tell you, she's got enough crap. I mean, trust, she's got enough crap. But those
Mm-hmm.
experiences are going to be what's really going to be, crap will be there, and she'll have her, toy, and it'll be gone in a year, or it'll be lost somewhere. It'll get, lost. We're trying to clean or something. And it's one of those things where it's like that experience is going to stick with her.
Yeah.
That experience is something that's really going to be there for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sticking on that right there, you want to do a little bit of a mindset thing with me really fast? Super
Sure.
quick. All right.
Sure.
Here's the question. Who are you?
Who am I? I
And
am,
I ask your listeners too, who are you?
yeah. I am Andrew. I'm a keynote architect.
So Andrew is the sound that I will make to get your attention that
Mhm.
you respond to. So it's not who you are,
Mhm.
right? And a
Mhm.
keynote architect is what you do. It's not who
Mhm.
you are. So who are you?
Who am I?
Mm-hmm.
I'm an uncle.
Yeah. That's a relation to somebody.
Yeah.
Not who you are.
Yeah. You're I am a spiritual being of a temporary physical existence. You're
Yeah,
in
you can see, you can
to get a
say
little deeper on it.
you're a spiritual being. That's kind of a capsule that
Mhm.
holds who you are.
Mhm.
Like this is just a meat suit
Yep.
holding me. My spirit is a spiritual capsule holding me, but who you really are
Mhm.
is a combination of experiences,
Yeah.
right?
Huh. Yeah.
You
Makes
are
sense.
the one who experiences is the actual term.
Uh,
There's an entire book. It is called, oh, I can see the Untethered Soul
Mhm.
about this. The Untethered Soul. I encourage you to read it.
Mhm.
Add that to your Amazon list, right?
Absolutely.
When you figure out the fact that you are just the one who experiences, you are just a combination of experiences. That's it.
Mhm.
Really starts to analyze what experiences you're allowing yourself to have.
Mhm.
It really starts putting in perspective what priorities you should place,
Mhm.
what defines you, and what takes your energy, and what takes your presence, and what takes your attention. Who are you? You're the one who experiences. What experiences are you having? And
Mhm.
you see the most rich people in the world, they don't
Mhm.
have to have a lot of money, but they have a lot of experiences,
Yeah.
tons of experiences. It's not that they had the same experience over and over again. They didn't practice 2 + 2 = 4 for 50 years.
Mhm.
They practiced all the math. They did
Mhm.
all the experiences. They just go into the office, check in, check out, go home, check in, check out, go home. One of the saddest things I ever hear from people is they say, how have you been? Especially somebody I haven't seen in a very long time. How have you been? And they say, oh man, same thing, same grind. Check in,
Mhm.
check out, keep going, baby. As
Mhm.
if it's like a badge of honor that they're still going.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, has nothing changed? No, no, not really. Same thing. Like, I haven't seen you in 5 years. What do you mean nothing's changed?
Yeah.
I changed since yesterday. You should be changing as often as you change your underwear.
Uh-huh.
Hopefully, you're doing that at least every day. You should be changing so often you don't even recognize the person a week from now. It's
Mhm.
how much you should be changing based off the experiences because you grew.
Mhm. Yeah. Very true. And I think that we forget that sometimes we get kind of caught up in what we're doing and the different identities and forgetting about the experience because that's why we're here, right?
That's why we're
Yeah.
here.
Yep.
Yeah, to have
Yep.
experiences with our friends.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're gonna wrap it up here. So I have one question I ask every person because I always want to
Okay.
leave some value with folks, and that is, what is one book or podcast that has changed your life? I know you've said a few different books, but like what's one book that was this question came from, I had a mentor who very first mentoring session, he's like, you will read Way of the Superior Male and No More Mr. Nice Guy. And with the book No More Mr. Nice Guy, I have not felt as understood and judged at the same time in my life by any book other than that one. It was just, it really helped a lot. So
Yeah.
that's why I ask people, what's that book that really just totally changed your life and just, you know, landslide moment?
Tons of books. The top of the top for me is Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. He
Uh,
wrote that in the early 2000s, late 90s. Can't remember. It's about that time frame. It's been republished several times. I believe he's since passed away because his son now runs the company.
mm,
But T. Harv Eker, when you read that book, he actually at the very end says, now that you've read this book or listened to it, read it again every month for the next year because repetition is the master of all learning.
mm,
It's in that book. If you listen to, you said podcasts.
mm,
Um, I listen to 2 podcasts religiously. I will stay caught up. I've listened to all of them and many of them multiple times. Is Ed Milet and Andy Frisella.
mm,
Those 2 people, they're best friends. They are mentors of mine. I'm in their coaching group. So
mm,
I hear from them often
mm.
and have met both of them and have keynoted with both of them.
Oh, nice. Ah,
And those 2 guys really opened my mind up to, and I found them in December 2018. I found Ed Milet first and then found Andy. And at first, Andy's delivery was a little bit rough for me. So I'm like, I'm not going to listen to that. And then I was like, I got to get past this whole, it's too rough for me because the gems found there and are way too precious to pass up.
mhm,
I've listened, I think Andy's a little over 1,000 episodes and Ed Milet's a little over 1,000 episodes.
mm,
So I've listened to all of them.
mm.
And those are the 2 podcasts. And then that's the book. And
Ah,
when you read that book, you'll be like, oh, so many analogies from so many thought leaders today come from that book.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
many. I mean, we've all probably heard the thermostat, like you're
Uh,
the thermostat of your life, and you can turn it up or down. If you're set to 70 degrees, doesn't matter how hot or how cold things get, it will come back to equilibrium. So you got to raise the thermostat. That came from T. Harv Eker.
interesting. I love it. I love it, man.
Yeah,
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show. Really appreciate it, man. Awesome. And let's go see what other cool stuff we can get into.
let's do it. Let's party. Let's have a good time and party as friends.
Absolutely. Thanks again for joining us on the Hustle and Grind podcast. If you'd like to learn more about Brad, check out the link in the description.